back to our society. So I want to welcome everybody. Please let's do our reminders. Let's know where you are joining us from, your name and where you are joining us from. It's a pleasant evening. And as many people as you have invited earlier, kindly let them realize we are live already. We have started. Let them know we have started right away. So I want to say welcome one more time. And tonight is going to be awesome. We have our pharmacist in the house, pharmacist Lucky Oragwe Thomas, aka Dr. Drugs. Oh, thank you. Welcome, Mrs. Theodora from Toronto. Welcome, everyone. I want to say welcome one more time, all our guests, everybody. If this is your first time here, I'm still saying welcome, welcome. And tonight promises to be awesome, just like I said. We are talking around the heart. The heart. You know, the World Health Organization had already made it clear what health is. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being of an individual, and not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. So we need to check if physically or socially or spiritually. I think that really revolves around the heart, the organ heart. And that's what our pharmacist will be speaking about tonight. So I welcome us all one more time. And just like I said, he's a very sound, medical practitioner, and he's been in this line for many years. With his experience, he will be speaking to us tonight. Is pharmacist Lucky around? Is he on board? I can't see your link, sir. Can you unmute and probably speak to us if you are in the house?
Yes, I'm around.
Fantastic. So welcome, sir. He's so set tonight, and it's going to be a great one. So please, let's pay attention. And after that, we will be able to take your questions. And also, let's maintain decorum for the house rule.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mute, so that we'll be able to hear what he is saying loud and clear.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, loud and clear.
So, basically, what we're talking about tonight is something that, affects everybody. And I believe that as far as we have a heart beating in our chest, this topic should or is actually very, very crucial or important. But we're not going to go to, very complex detail, talk about these things in a very complex way. We're going to break it down in such a way that anybody would be able to understand and will be able to, relate with the matters that we're going to bring up tonight. I remain my humble self, Lucky, and it's a pleasure having to be here. Now, prevention and reversal strategies for heart-related diseases. You see, they say a problem known is half solved. Oftentimes, as scientists, when you know about a problem, somehow the solution will begin to become what? Clear. So basically, I'll be talking about the major problem itself, and will unravel gradually the solution to these problems as related to heart diseases. Finally, we're going to talk about a lot of ways to reverse and prevent these things, but there is still one way that we need to talk about more intently. And that way seems to be one of the major ways towards, solve this issue that has to do with this issue of heart diseases. Now, we can't talk about this topic without touching a bit on the human heart. I often speak about the greatest assassins, and we're going to know why. Lifestyle diseases is inevitable because majority of the heart diseases we have are directly or indirectly linked to the lifestyle choices we make. Cardiovascular heart diseases has to come up next. Then we'll talk about something under that. Then talk about another thing, hypertension briefly, and then we'll talk about detox and weight loss as one of the major ways out of this issue. So basically, I will run through, and as I always say, please, if in case I'm moving very fast, just take notes of what the questions you'd like to ask, and then after the presentation, you can always ask whatever questions we have, and by the grace of God, we'll satisfy you. So the human heart is a muscular organ, fist-size shape, and located somewhere in the middle of the chest, but more to the left side. And of course, its function is to circulate blood around to pump blood around the circulatory system. And of course, the function of blood is basically, I didn't say totally, to convey oxygen and food to the cells of our bodies and remove carbon dioxide and waste materials from there. Now, the greatest assassins, as I've always mentioned, is cholesterol and stress. These are the two things that finish human beings the most on earth. And bearing this in mind helps us to understand better cardiovascular diseases and other diseases that are related to these two assassins. Lifestyle diseases are simply diseases linked to one's lifestyle, but they are also strongly linked to heart-related diseases. Now, examples of lifestyles include lack of physical activity. Of course, that will lead to weight gain. Poor dieting, maybe overfeeding can lead to weight gain. Alcoholism, that's bad cholesterol in the system. Smoking, excess free radicals, dumping in the system, and hardening of the blood vessels, especially the ones that are supplying the heart. We have substance abuse, like taking of hard drugs that can make the heart beat abnormally fast and suddenly and can lead to other issues and complications. Lack of rest will build up stress in the system, and which in turn lead to free radicals in the system that damage DNA and eventually can damage the heart, and a lot of other lifestyle choices that affect our health badly. That's just basically what lifestyle diseases are. And they include, just to mention a few, we have cardiovascular or heart diseases. Of course, that is basically what we're talking about. You see the relationship between lifestyle diseases and cardiovascular diseases or heart diseases. Then we have atherosclerosis, or what we call cholesterol blockage in quotes. We have obesity. Basically, your heart needs to pump with a higher pressure to supply a wider area. Type 2 diabetes, stroke, respiratory diseases, amongst others. Now, prevention of these lifestyle diseases entail avoiding the avoidable risk factors. That's just basic information. Now, let's move a bit deeper into business. So what are heart diseases? These are ailments that affect the proper function of the heart and or blood vessels. They are the leading cause of death worldwide and include what? Coronary artery diseases. We're going to see how coronary artery disease come up and see how we can relate this to the two major assassins as aforementioned. Hypertension is there, stroke is also there, angina pectoris, that pain that is felt in the middle of the chest, especially when people exert themselves. Then we have rheumatic heart. People don't even know that rheumatism actually has a negative cardiac effect. Then they have different types of cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy just means heart muscle issues, in short. So we just say it can be enlarged. The heart can be enlarged. The heart can be distended, or is what we call my favorite. I won't say it's my favorite, but I just like the word takotsubo. which is actually heartbreak syndrome. We have irregular heartbeats. We have poor heart function, inflamed heart muscles, amongst others. But we're going to narrow this down to what our topic is all about, and eventually we're going to give a basic solution to all these aforementioned issues. So I mentioned coronary artery disease before, and you can see how this begins to take place, because the artery supplying the heart has to be very free and clear of all forms of deposits of cholesterol. And you can see cholesterol causing issue here and blocking the flow of blood to the muscles of the heart. And you can imagine that anything on this other side begins to die and or cry out in pain. Crying out in pain simply means angina pectoris. Then myocardial infarction simply means dying on the other side that's not being supplied as a result of this cholesterol blockage. Here we have cholesterol again as one of the greatest assassins, as aforementioned, and you can see here again in the heart, blocking supply of food and oxygen to the heart cells, leading to all forms of heart complications that we will not be able to talk about in detail today. Now, we also have what's called sudden cardiac death, and that is when this occludes very vital areas in the heart and the person finds himself in front of his maker. Now, this is just a brief summary on one or two or three of the things we just mentioned, and that's myocardial infarction, which is heart cell death due to blockage of blood supply. We have sudden cardiac death, that's the heart stopping due to block. Well, same story. Angina pectoris, which is pain as a result of dying cells of the heart crying in pain, in quotes. Yes, so what are the symptoms of coronary artery disease? Shortness of breath, extreme tiredness or fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, irregular heartbeat, dizziness, sweating, nausea, and some amongst others. And we can see that the risk factors include hypertension, diabetes, lack of exercise, just some things related to what we just talked about not too long ago. These things are strongly linked and strongly interrelated, and they collaborate with each other to sustain themselves with regards to causing heart issues. Briefly, hypertension as a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease, because while we definitely can talk about heart diseases without mentioning something that is very, very common, which is hypertension. So before we go into hypertension, we're going to talk about, let's see how hypertension is a major risk factor. As blood pressure rises, it damages the inner wall of the blood vessels, causing inflammatory reactions that lead to accumulation of what? Cholesterol and other factors in the blood vessels of the heart, leading to cardiovascular what? Complications. And these can also happen in the brain and lead to what is called ischemic, or in quotes, cholesterol blockade stroke. Hypertension cannot be overemphasized or overmentioned, because as I'm talking to you today, a lot of people are still having hypertension without even knowing that they have hypertension. And a lot of people are being sent to the mortuary today because of hypertension. So we cannot just do without talking about it. So I'm going to run through very fast, and then we'll see what we have on the others towards the end of our slides. And that should be something that has to do with a solution or prevention and management of these heart diseases. Now, hypertension is defined as a sustained elevation of blood pressure above normal, and it's a range between 100 to 130 over 60 to 80 millimeters Hg. It's actually a range and not a point, so people don't have to, worry when it's just a margin away from the ideal 120, 80, as depicted. And this is the simple formula for hypertension. Understanding this formula here tells us everything we need to know about hypertension, and how, can give us an idea on everything we need to know about hypertension and how to resolve it. Because an increase in cardiac output or an increase in peripheral resistance can lead to hypertension. So cholesterol, once again, is here causing these problems, causing heart diseases and a lot of other issues in the heart, because it's actually blocking the path through which blood flows to supply the muscles of the heart. Just briefly, we have a primary essential hypertension, which, as you can see, is of no, you can't actually point a particular reason why the one is hypertensive, but research has shown that about 90% of people that are coming up with these essential hypertension often do so as a result of peripheral resistance or cholesterol blocking the blood vessels and actually making the heart beat with a compensatory increase in blood pressure to overcome the blockage of cholesterol in the blood vessels. So when you hear people say that there was a man that said that the secret to his long life was that he always did what? Clean up his blood vessels. And I say truly, that is a fact. It happens about 95% of cases, and certain things have been traced to it, like this woman that is smoking has predisposed this child already to hypertension, even though it's still in the womb. Secondary hypertension is as a result of a known factor. I give an example is if somebody is having hypertension due to economic issues or poverty, and then your person's blood pressure is rising as a result of rising bills. The moment you carry a bundle or you carry a $10,000 and give the person and say, take, happy Christmas, you find out that instantly the person's blood pressure begins to go down. That is secondary hypertension because it's as a result of a known cause, which is what? Economic issues. We also have pregnancy-induced hypertension that often reverse when after childbirth, or sometimes complications may arise as a result of this and are called eclampsia or preeclampsia. We have hypertensive crisis. Once the BP is above 180/120, that person is already having a hypertensive crisis. But it's an emergency if there's an organ damage, like maybe a blood vessel ruptures in the head or any part of the body. That's an emergency, has to take it to the hospital. Or an urgency if the person can just throw into the hospital and demand for help, amongst others. Now, hypertension is silent and often has no symptoms, but if it wants to have pity on the person that is his victim, it may show headache at the back of the head, especially in the morning, lightheadedness, altered vision, fainting episodes, etc. This is the only way you can measure blood pressure with a sphygmomanometer, and these are the causes and risk factors. As you can see, we have a lot of bad lifestyle choices, like smoking, alcoholism, poor dieting are here. So you see that these things are actually interrelated. You can't just separate them or sever them from each other. And at the end of the day, they lead to cardiovascular issues. So what the prevention and management also tells us, in fact, it's actually like we're talking about prevention and management of heart diseases in a way. Of course, you have to monitor blood pressure regularly, avoid excess salt intake, exercise, weight management. Take note of this weight management because something that we're going to talk a bit more later. Then having a healthy Mediterranean diet, quit smoking, and amongst others, use of appropriate medication. And this basically works by reducing cardiac output. That's the rate at which the heart pumps. Talking about chemical drugs here. And resistance of blood flow in the blood vessels. But bear in mind that these drugs may actually, they take people out of danger, but I often suggest that people try to, adjust their lifestyles and their diet and all that, and try to reverse this issue, because it's found that up to 90% of hypertensive cases can be reversed when you actually clean up your blood vessels of cholesterol blockage and all that, giving your heart less work because the blood vessels are freer. These are experiments that have been done and have proven to be successful. Yes, this is a Mediterranean diet. All things bright and beautiful. As you can see, there's no Semoris here, no Benson, there's no Kai or Shekpe, there's no gin, there's no XO, there's no rosé and all that. So you can see just beautiful, simple, natural substances, brightly colored and devoid of artificial substances. I wonder why we often are attracted to natural foods, but we don't ask ourselves some basic questions, which is, these chemical drugs we are taking, where are they going to? Where are the metabolites going to? How are they being removed from the body? Are some being deposited? What are the side effects? And these are things that we may talk about one of these days. And I'm going to show you guys, or show us, some secrets that we may be surprised that even your ordinary paracetamol you are taking is actually toxic to the liver. And that is why when you want to shut down the liver of rats or mice you are running experiments on in the lab, you can actually just give them paracetamol and the liver is off the equation and you run your experiment. And that is why, and that is what some of us are chewing like chin-chin. It's not actually beautiful. It's not nice. Well, cardiopulmonary resuscitation is just brief, because if someone has an issue as a result of heart attack or something, you have to make sure that the blood supply to the brain and other vital organs remain constant. Because if the blood supply is kinked or stopped, such a person can find himself standing in front of his or her maker. Oh, so this is basically how it's done. Chest compressions about 5 to 6 centimeters deep, about 100 to 120 times per minute, and about 8 breaths of life through the nose or mouth. So you can imagine that if about 80 million Nigerians are living with hypertension and 26.7 million are receiving treatment, what about the remaining 53.3 million? This is what we call walking dead, because they can drop dead anytime and they will believe it's their uncle struggling for land with them in the village that actually did something to them, not knowing that hypertension is actually the assassin that took the person away. So the complications include eye problems, stroke, and other issues, kidney problems. But very important is medical bills, because medical bills lead to economic problems. Apart from the fact that these cardiovascular diseases or heart diseases are tiring, when people actually use drugs, all these medication and routines to try to manage, prevent, or reverse them, trying to manage them, you find out that some patients become so tired of taking tablets every day, and that's why prevention indeed is better than cure. Towards the end of our presentation, I'll show us something that we can actually do to prevent this. So examples of these natural pharmaceuticals which I prefer is Arctic Sea, which contains essential fatty acids, EPA and DHA, that's eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, and these are known to have anti-thrombotic effect. That means they prevent cholesterol from coming together, especially in the heart. So that tells you it's very important. Garlic thyme contains lecithin and does what Omo does to engine oil. What Omo does to engine oil, it's what it does to cholesterol in the blood vessels, especially in the heart. That's just a summary. And aloe vera gel is an adaptogen that tries to take things back to what they were before and helps to stimulate somatic stem cells. We hear a lot of people talking about stem cells and you taking tablets and all that. All those things are lies, because there's no stem cell that can survive the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. But what one can do is to stimulate what is called somatic stem cells, which are God's workshops that God has put all over our bodies to help us repair damaged organs and tissue. And that's why when someone has a cut, the cut tends to want to what? Cover up or close. Cardio health is very wonderful in the sense that it contains coenzyme Q10, which is essential in rejuvenating the heart, the lungs, the liver, and the kidneys. And guess what? It has a direct influence on the reduction of cholesterol in our system, amongst others. There's something called nitric oxide, and that is a natural vasodilator. It helps the blood vessels to dilate. Bear in mind on the side that without nitric oxide, a man cannot have effective entanglement, because entanglement facilities of men, before they can get turgid for entanglement, need nitric oxide to enable blood to enter into the entanglement facility. Now you can see that this same way this nitric oxide helps to improve entanglement by allowing blood to flow into our entanglement facility in the downstream sector, is also very essential in allowing blood to flow through the blood vessels, especially in the heart, because it opens the way through which the blood flows. But as also a bonus for those of us that need to add more flesh, because there's something called cachexia, which is when you don't use a part of when you don't use the muscles for a long time, or one has had chronic disease for a very long time, there is an unexplained weight loss that takes place, and this can help to reverse that weight loss naturally, because it contains an amino acid that is a building block of proteins. And guess what our muscles are made up of? Proteins. So you can see that this is a wonder natural pharmaceutical that we can't finish talking about today, but maybe some other time we'll do so. Now, we've talked a lot about heart issues. Let's talk about management. Most of the heart issues that we have are tied down to what? Being overweight or obesity. Obesity predisposes people to high blood cholesterol that blocks the heart, stresses the system, leading to free radical damage. It can also lead to type 2 diabetes that can come back later and lead to cholesterol deposits and also damage the heart. And a lot of other issues that have to do with the heart are strongly linked to being overweight or obese. So it is inevitable that if we're going to choose a way to manage or prevent heart diseases, is via having a very good or sound BMI. So we're going to talk briefly on how we can achieve this. And excessive detrimental accumulation of body fat is simply what we mean when we say obesity. This implies that our weight is directly influenced by the amount of body fat in our system, and fat is a way our body stores excess energy. So the excess energy that the body does not use, maybe when we overfeed or consume energy through our mouth, or we underutilize energy by being lazy and not doing exercise and being sedentary, is that it's stored in the fat in the body. Has anybody ever wondered why, whether a woman eats or not, the baby in the stomach just keeps growing healthy? Oftentimes, if a woman decides not to eat for a whole day, the baby will be eating because there's excess store of energy in the woman in form of what? Fat. And that is something that we need to thank God for. And remember that this obesity does what? Predisposes one to what? Cardiovascular or heart diseases. So how do we manage heart diseases? By reversing or preventing or avoiding being obese or having what's called weight management. We are automatically preventing and or managing cardiovascular disease. This is just one of the ways with which we can actually achieve what we have just mentioned. But let us look a bit deeper into it and see how we can get what we can get from what is what we have to what we're going to see now in the slides. Now, weight management is basically the process of achieving and or maintaining a healthy weight via certain activities, techniques, and physiological processes. Now, from basic principles, weight management is a function of what we eat and the energy we consume through our mouth and the energy we burn off through activities. This is just a basic depiction of how we know when we are slimming down or adding weight. You can see that you can have maintained weight. That's when the calories you are consuming is equal to the calories you are burning out. Then weight increases when the calories we eat, the energy we consume, is way more than the energy we are burning out. And then you can only achieve weight loss when the energy in form of food we are consuming is less than the energy that's what we are burning out as a result of what? Exercise and other physical activities. This is the basis of what? Weight management. Bear in mind that weight management is different from malnutrition. Malnutrition is what some people do when they drink certain herbs and they begin to purge and purge and purge and purge. And they say, oh my goodness, this herb is working. I've lost 3 or 4 kg. You only emptied the content of your intestine. That means all you need to do is just go back to what you were eating before, and your weight will go back to what it was. And that is what we call rebound weight. Remember that your brain knows your weight. That's why when you try to reduce weight in the wrong way, you may smell someone roasting suya or meat 10 kilometers away, because your senses will begin to become sharper because your brain wants to take you back to what you were before. So there are techniques which I want. There's a particular technique I'm going to teach us when we are trying to reduce weight. And remember that reducing weight is a very important step in prevention and management of cardiovascular or heart diseases. So we know that calories are consumed from food and drinks, and calories expended are from basal metabolic energy meant to keep us alive, as well as that of physical activity as a result of exercise. So these are examples of factors that influence weight gain or weight loss. Of course, dieting, exercise, certain ailments. That's why you see that when some people fall sick, because of the loss of appetite and a lot of other issues, they begin to lose weight. And of course, we have a genetic tendency, because one can actually inherit the obesity gene, in quotes. The Mediterranean diet is here again, all things bright and beautiful. But we can't talk about this without knowing, how do you know when you are overweight and predisposed to cardiovascular diseases? And that is why we have what is called body mass index. It's just a fair way to classify one's weight, because if one is underweight, that person will have a BMI below 18.5 kilograms per meter square. It is simply the weight in kilograms over the height in meters square. That means anything we want to be in terms of our weight should be within 18.5 kilograms per meter square to 24.9 kilograms per meter square. I was discussing with a patient today, and he had 27.7, and because of the condition he was having, I told him to please try to still go down a bit more. And I guarantee that patient that before he gets to 23, everything that is happening to him will disappear, because they are all linked towards lifestyle diseases and being overweight. Now, one is said to be overweight when it's within 25 to 29.9, but we have different categories of obesity that start from 30 kilograms per meter square up to 40 kilograms per meter square, and the people that climb the scale and the scale says to be continued or watch out for season 2. Those people are too heavy that the scale cannot finish counting their weight. Such people attend obesity 3 and above. Obesity is simply the excessive detrimental accumulation of body fat, as aforementioned, and this is how people graduate from being very slim to when they become obese and or overweight. Good. Now, the importance of weight management. You see, being overweight or obese leads to what? Cardiovascular diseases. That means doing the opposite, which is reducing our weight to the normal range, can help us towards manage and or prevent cardiovascular diseases. And that is why it's very important we understand these things from basic principles, as I've mentioned, that sometimes when you talk about a condition, you find out that one way or the other, you are talking about the solution probably from the other angle. When you look at it from another perspective, you see that you're talking about the solution. And you can see other things that can be caused, that is caused by that being overweight can cause, include type 2 diabetes, hormonal imbalance, infertility, stroke, cancer, low immunity, osteoarthritis, breathing disorders, etc. And you can see why it's important, this being about weight management. We have to talk about weight management if we want to talk about prevention and or management of heart diseases. I just picked weight management. But there's something that we seem to forget. Some of us do not understand why when they finish losing weight, just a few moments later, they're already adding it back. Fat cells store toxins. And when the fat cells are reduced, the toxins are still there. And what do the toxins use to dilute themselves back again in the system? More fat cells. And that can lead to what? Rebound weight. So you can see that the medicinal of physiological process of removal of harmful substances from the human body, especially by what? The liver and the kidneys, is what we call detoxification. And the presence of unwanted materials leads to what? Oxidative stress that damages DNA. And a lot of things can actually occur as a result of this, which includes hormonal imbalance, infertility, rapid aging, cancer, etc. So let us bear in mind that autophagy simply means giving your liver a break, because the liver is its own doctor, and the liver is a very important organ with regards to what? Weight management, because excess cholesterol, which is the causing of fat, is taken back to the liver by HDL, aka good cholesterol, to be what? Processed. When the liver is overwhelmed with toxins and other issues, then you find out that it finds it difficult to carry out its job. Sometimes the fat cells begin to get dumped on the liver, and then you begin to hear a patient is having fatty liver disease. Now, drinking enough water helps to detoxify the system, especially through the kidneys, and that is a fact. Now, we talked about cardiovascular disease and heart issues, but I've been rushing down to this place because let's talk about solution more this time. And that's why I'm talking about this detox and weight management section. I'm talking about this detox and weight management. In fact, it's a 9 days detoxification and weight management program designed to reduce what? Caloric intake. Remember that the energy we consume through our mouth, actually, when it becomes more than the energy we burn off through physical activity, before the person begins to have the energy, excess energy stored as fat, and that leads to what? Being excess weight or obesity. Considering that the definition of obesity is what? Excessive detrimental accumulation of what? Body fat. Now, this program is designed to reduce caloric intake, increase caloric expenditure systematically. That means it includes or inculcates physical activity. Then also includes use of low-calorie diet plan, exercise, autophagy, that's therapeutic fasting, to give the liver what? A break, and natural pharmaceuticals, while ensuring what? Adequate nourishment, meaning that it's different from what? Malnourishment. Malnourishment is, yes, one can lose weight via malnourishment and have something like kwashiorkor, but that is not the correct way to lose weight. You have to lose weight professionally in such a way that your cells are not denied essential nourishment for their survival. Now, it systematically includes intermittent appropriate fasting that helps what? To detoxify the liver. Its contents includes aloe vera gel. Of course, we know that the liver is very important, and it helps to regenerate and rejuvenate damaged organs of the body. And guess one of the organs of the body? The liver, and also the kidneys as well. But this product is so vast when you talk about what it does. Indeed, the functions are numerous, so let's just leave it at that. And then we have Ultralight that contains a myriad of things that nourish the body without helping you to add weight. It's giving you what your body needs without what is going to help you to add weight. And we have fiber that helps to make your stomach to calm down while you're going through this process. And it also helps to rinse or wash off the digestive tract. Let us not forget that those that have what is called bile or hemorrhoid are often told to take foods that are high in fiber. Fiber has a way of pulling and retaining water, helping the stool to be soft. Remember that fecal impaction or very hard feces helps to damage the anal sphincter that has already been damaged by the presence of hemorrhoid, aka bile. So that means taking this has dual function for people that have bile and also want to reduce weight. It helps the stool to be soft and gives that area enough time to heal. TEM simply means burning of fat and converting it to energy. That means as you are going through this process, you're not going to be feeling that desire or that lack of energy in the system, because the fat that is causing the problem, this product is going to help that, going to convert that fat into energy. And that is why it's very, very important that we use this particular product during that C9 program. You see that people run C9 and they say that they feel energetic. It's because the fat that is causing problem is now being put into good use by this product. And then we have hydroxycitric acid found in Garcinia Plus, and you know that it helps to hinder the production of fat from carbohydrates. We have a measuring tape as evidence and a book guide. Now, what we have just done is that we have, in a nutshell, talked about cardiovascular diseases, shown how they are interrelated with lifestyle diseases, and we have also shown how we can manage this issue holistically instead of breaking each and every one down. This solution is common to most cardiovascular disease, which is weight management, because weight management is strongly linked and strongly tied to cardiovascular disease, and that is why it has been singled out as one of the major solutions to cardiovascular diseases. So what you consume, and there's a constant battle between factors that repair and protect our bodies and those that break it down. Be on the winning side. Thank you very much, and remain blessed.
Kudos, Dr. Drugs. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the training. He's been speaking extensively. So surprised tonight to
Very good.
see that those preventable, like you said, preventable affects that muscular has been saying. Please, can you help me out to add pharmacists, help me share emojis in the chat box, me to kindly do that. Educative, very, very educated. You know, our medical personnel that are on seat, everyone has been saying this is just powerful. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So in the bid to round up the evening, I don't know if you have a question or two. We will want to take a question or two before we call it a day tonight. Yes. All right, sir. So while we're waiting, this is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you very much. I love the fact that
Sometimes
I hear that
when you have fewer questions, what is
you know,
it that people have
your brain knows
understood?
your weight. Your brain knows.
When people understand what you have said, they barely have questions to ask. You know, so hello. Okay, so while we're waiting for
Your
Madam
weight. I'm
okay,
really
she's back.
impressed. I'm really impressed hearing that. Wow, that we should eat. Of course, that's lifestyle you are introducing. Thank you very much for the information. Any question? Put it in the chat box, or probably you just correct, sir. Just like you said, it was a lot. You know, I saw about I had to put it there and say just calmly follow him so that at the end of the event. All right? No question? Okay. All right. Some questions are in already. I think we should be able to take about two from the evening. All right. Which product can help in the problem of... Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Can you...
Yes, okay. I can see someone asking, someone wants to know what products. Someone wants to know what products. That's Ellie Muiwa wants to know.
Sinuses.
Yes, for sinusitis. That is inflammation of the in the sinuses. That's the membranes that line the sinuses. These are air pockets or air spaces that are found embedded within our skulls, you know, but they have drains through which they can actually drain into drain themselves out. So you can see that from basic principles, we need to understand what actually leads to this problem. Oftentimes, it's a result of microorganisms infecting such an area. You understand? So the first thing that comes to mind is taking something that will help to mitigate the activities of this microorganism, and that is what? Be propolis. Now, the membranes that have been affected are already inflamed. So we need antioxidants like ascorbic acid that also promotes or boosts the what we call, like, just as it helps with epithelial cells, it will also help with the lining of such species that are in there. So we have to do that as well. Of course, we need to boost our immune system to prevent or hinder or impede the activities of these microorganisms. So immune blend has to come in there as well. And if you want to throw in something that will help from the gut, because you know that a healthy gut leads to a higher level of immunity, you can throw in probiotics. That's if you want to boost boost your immune system also via the gut as well. And then, of course, aloe vera gel will also help to take the system back to what it was before as an adaptogen. These are just a few of the things that we need. That is assuming it's as a result of microorganisms, which is often as a result of bacterial or viral issues as such. Then, so taking these things means if we have any other reason why the sinusitis has taken place, then we'll tackle it from basic principles like this, and you can know what supplements or natural pharmaceuticals can be given to assist. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's another question here.
Thank you, Pharmacist Lucky Oragwe. Thank you very much. Yes, there's another question.
Yes. There's
another question says, what can one who has pile take?
Yes. Pile is actually...
Yes. Does this have a management effect or a curative effect?
It's not a pathological disease. It's not like malaria. When you have a malaria parasite, you take anti-malaria, the parasites go and the fever and all that disappear. It's actually your body that has changed. That's the anal sphincter the blood vessels in the anal sphincter has changed. You understand? Some of them are formed rather than being smooth, like the way the veins of the leaves are, they're already having some things like aneurysms or like balls and different shapes. Before you know what's happening, that area begins to grow one or two things. This is actually your body. It's actually your flesh that is having this issue. So tackling this matter from basic principle entails that the DNA has to be very stable in order to prevent further damages as a result of this. And we're talking about DNA being stable. We're talking about reducing the amount of free radicals in the system. Tell us, just to recap, as I will always say, that one thing that increases the amount of free radicals in the system is excess sugar in the body. So one has to also take note that once you have pile, you have to avoid excessive carbohydrates and sugars as much as possible, and then also increase the intake of antioxidants. Examples of antioxidants include Lycium Plus, ascorbate. I didn't say ascorbic acid. Ascorbate found in absorbent C. Then we have a lot of antioxidants in aloe vera gel. We have in pomestine, that's if it's still available, and all that. Now that's that. The second thing again is that what causes this pile to get worse, and often as a result of mechanical damage due to fecal impaction. Fecal impaction means that the stool has become so hard enough that it can tear or damage the already damaged pile, especially when it's an internal pile, because the internal pile is actually inside and the hard stool is abrasing, that is rubbing roughly on it, and that's why you see people that have internal pile, the stool comes with bleeding because of this process. So how do you prevent this? Aloe vera gel has been known to soften the tummy and allows stool to flow better. You understand? Then fiber, as aforementioned, will allow water retention in the fecal matter, and will also prevent, that means the stool will be soft, because it's not going to be dry and impacted and begin to cause issues in that area. Of course, it's not a bad idea to lubricate and also help to healing that area by applying what we call aloe lips or aloe jelly. The reason why I say and or aloe jelly is because aloe jelly sometimes becomes sticky when people are moving around the day, and it's like you're having something sticky down there. But it's very nice when you apply it at night just before you go to bed. After all, you're lying down and you can apply it copiously, and this will also trigger healing in that area. Remember that aloe vera is an adaptogen, and it helps to take things back to the way they were before. Of course, if there's diabetes, that has to be tackled, because sugar and fire do not go together in any way, because sugar leads to increase in free radicals. Excess sugar leads to increase in free radicals that can damage the DNA of the cells in that area, that the cells are already growing in the wrong way. The blood vessels are already having issues. Now, complicating it with more sugar, especially in diabetes, is a no-no. Of course, immune blend is very important, because bear in mind that place is already exposed to what? Feces that contains a lot of microorganisms, unwanted microorganisms in short. And you can see that area is exposed, so you can imagine what can happen when the immune system is not strong enough. Then we also need probiotic, which actually, we also need bee propolis, which actually is a powerful antimicrobial agent and has antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral activity. You see that can also help to mitigate the possibility of complications as a result of that area being, not what it's actually supposed to be, And these are just a few. Oh, aloe lips is important during the day because it is, it is thick. So you can actually just apply it and you feel comfortable. Just apply copiously in that area and allow it to begin to, propagate the healing process as well. Sometimes I suggest patients also add the active probiotic, that's active Pro B, because we already know that bad bacteria in that area being in excess is a no-no already. And these are just a few. The Lycium, as I mentioned, remember, is a powerful antioxidant that will help with DNA stability and also help to reline that area that the lining is already terrible or already gone, as the case may be. These are just a few of the things that are needed, depending on what is actually, worsening or causing the fire, amongst others. Bear in mind that the Daflon you are taking is actually a natural pharmaceutical. It contains hesperidine and diosmin. So when we talk about natural pharmaceuticals, don't joke with them. It's just that this natural pharmaceutical contained in that Daflon that people use in cases of fire has been put inside tablet form and has been put into the mainstream. It's a supplement. That is what it's a natural pharmaceutical extracted from orange peel. So you can see how important it is that you use appropriate natural pharmaceuticals. That's why this Lycium and all this I mentioned are also very important, just as your Daflon is also important. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Drugs. Wow, that was powerful. Um, you know, you really broke it down. We appreciate that. I believe the person who asked the question, they've been so clear about what to do and how to also, go on the natural pharmaceutical. I love that term, because some people are like, oh, it's until my doctor says I'm not going to budge. I'm happy you are saying, you are giving direction on how we should handle our health better. So far, our pharmacist has been speaking on prevention and reversal strategies for heart-related diseases. And it's been a very, very great evening, a very awesome evening. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this event. Thank you so much. Yes, please help me to show more emoji to our Dr. Drugs for, that fabulous teachings and learnings we had tonight. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And the last question for the day, just help us to, shed light on someone already battling breast cancer. If there is any natural pharmaceutical of what they can add to also aid a quicker recovery.
Cancer is a very, very interesting kind of cancer, in the sense that it's one of the hormonal cancers. And it has been discovered that it is strongly linked with genetics because of the BRCA1 and 2 genes that are shown to be expressed in people that have this issue. But the fact that something is one is genetically predisposed does not mean the person must have it. The question is, what often worsens or triggers breast cancer? Number one is stress. Stress increases free radicals in the system, and this can actually distort DNA. And remember, I mentioned that excess sugar consumption, excess carbohydrate consumption, excess refined carbohydrates like the one you find in the meat pie, pizza, and all that can predispose people that are already genetically predisposed to breast cancer. So that means, let's start from what one is not supposed to consume in excess. So the Coca-Cola, the sugar, and all that. The other thing that also can predispose one to breast cancer is what? Roll-on. Because these things that contain aluminum salt find their way to percolate into the tail of the breast that extends to the armpit. Some people think the breast is just what is in front. There's a tail that goes to the back, the axilla, and that can actually absorb chemical substances that can provoke breast cancer. And that is why you see that there's something, the Aloe Shield deodorant is number one with regards to deodorants, because it does not contain aluminum salts and all those dangerous stuff. So I just wanted to talk about what we do not need first, because if you're talking about what you need and people are taking what they need and also taking what they don't need, then you have +1 and -1 active action. You understand? Now, the first thing we're going to need is a very powerful antioxidant. Bear in mind that don't neglect the instructions given to you. Whomever has that issue should not neglect the instructions by the health practitioner or the health caregiver, because you know that chemical drugs, yes, I know that the chemotherapy and all that are actually very and super toxic to the system, but they just help to keep people out of danger like metastasis and all that, as well as when a decision is taken to remove it by have what they call a mastectomy. Please do not neglect these things. Just know that those things are often for one's good. But in cases like stage 1 breast cancer, you find out that you can have a high chance of reversal when there is better balanced hormones. That means if there's excessive secretion of estrogen in the system, you find out that one is predisposed to having or worsening of breast cancer. So we're talking about taking something like Vitalize Women. That will help towards balance the hormone and also supply other antioxidants that are necessary to keep women, hale and hearty. Then we'll talk about Lycium. It is inevitable. Lycium is very inevitable because it's a very powerful antioxidant that can protect the DNA. Remember that the cells are going haywire because the DNA has been damaged. It's the DNA that tells the cells, stop, grow, stop. But when the DNA has lost this function, the cells begin to hear grow, and all that. Of course, weight management is super important. Remember that weight management leads to hormonal imbalance. So one has to make sure that the weight is within the normal BMI, if possible, the left side of the BMI, the normal range of BMI. That will reduce excess material being supplied to the cancer cells. So you see that the Clen9 is here again with its other factors that are in there as well. Remember that the cells of the cancer that is spreading also contains cholesterol on their membrane or cholesterol analogs. So when you supply excess cholesterol to these cells with the overweight, what do you think will happen? The cells will begin to multiply and begin to grow in a haywire. Of course, aloe vera gel is very, very important because an adaptogen, and we all know what adaptogens do. They reverse things back to what they're supposed to be. Now, in the case where this breast cancer is attached or strongly linked to diabetes worsens cancer. That means the diabetes has to be tackled. Of course, we know the regular stuff for diabetes, chromium picolinate found in super greens and fields of greens. We know that diabetes does not do well with immune blend because immune blend also helps to attack take care of the immunologic parts when the immune system may be damaging the islets of Langerhans or the beta cells of the islets of the pancreas. Then we know we're talking about probiotic, that's Active Pro B, and amongst others. And you see that these things are very essential, because imagine Immune Blend can boost the production of what we call monocytes. These monocytes are a type of white blood cell that love to attack cells that are growing out of proportion. Anything that is growing out of proportion, monocytes often go there to try to keep them in check. That means if a cell wants to multiply faster than it's supposed to, these monocytes can go there quickly, attack that cell. So you can see that it's also very important that you add Immune Blend. Immune Blend is very, very essential with this matter. These are just a few of the things that are required. And remember, the less material you are giving the cancer cells to multiply, the faster they die. That is just the simple theory. That's why you see people going on keto diet, they don't take carbohydrate, because carbohydrates supply energy, glucose to these cells. And you know that multiplication is very essential. They use up to 15 times the amount of glucose the normal cells use. So you see that once you starve them of this glucose, they begin to die very fast. And that's one of the secrets in reversal or prevention of breast cancer. So I've mentioned a few things that can help, and I've mentioned some natural pharmaceuticals that are attached to these few things that can help: hormonal balancing hormones, avoiding free radicals by using powerful antioxidants, weight management, to preventing excess supply of materials to the cells to multiply without control, and of course tackling things like diabetes and all that. And these are just a few of the ways that we can help to prevent or reverse, because there are cases of reversal of stage 1 breast cancer. There are recorded cases of reversal of stage 1 breast cancer. That means the earlier it's detected, the better. Thank you very much.
What a way to end November. Thank you very much, Pharmacist Lucky Oragu. Thank you so much. What a way to end November. It means we're starting December on a clean note and a very healthy ground. And I believe we will be able to share that with as many loved ones as possible, touching and impacting lives on the go. And just at the onset of 2024, these are the most, ethical and important thing we need handy to go into that brand new year with our brand new cells. Thank you very much, Dr. Drugs. You have made the evening a very colorful and a bright one. We really appreciate that. And thank you all our guests. Thank you everybody that has been invited here, that have been a part of this event tonight. Thank you for making the day beautiful. Thank you for helping our November to be worth the while. And we are glad to be rounding it up this way. We are so happy sharing every of the moment here together with you. And on behalf of the Happy People Group and the Power Team, tonight they want to say thank you very much for spending your time here, for choosing to be a part of this informative session. And the person we will thank the most is our Dr. Drugs. Thank you also, sir, for the evening. We really appreciate you. And I think we are ready. We are set for December already. We are just set for even 2024. Don't forget, same time, we will be here next week, where we'll have another fantastic health personnel that will be on ground, taking and teaching us on how we need to be sound and staying healthy, as well staying wealthy. So thank you for tonight. God bless you, everyone. We would like to draw the curtain here. I believe that it's been a very great evening, if you agree with me. And in the bit of no more questions, I think it's just a perfect timing for us to call it a day. So God bless you, Dr. Drugs. God bless you, Pharmacist Lucky Oragwe. Thank you, all the engineers behind the platform. Thank you so much, all our technical crew from the Happy People's Room at the Power Team. And to my humble self, Yewande, I want to say thank you, everybody, for listening and being a great audience. We really appreciate you. Good night and God bless.
Right.
Good night.